We're bringing back something we did last year. We're going to rank the Bears position groups now that the draft is over. Big show coming your way. CHGO Bears starts right now. Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast on a beautiful day in the greatest city in the world. What's going on? Mark, Carman, Greg.
That's
Ray.
me. Thank you, Greg.
I'm Adam Hoge.
Adam.
The middle chair.
I know.
He just had to get closer to me.
We just need to address this off the top. Yeah, this was not voluntary that I moved closer to Greg.
This is the weirdest day in the history of this company in a good way.
Yeah.
How's that?
Okay, that's one way to put it. Yeah, you might notice some things are a little bit different on the set. We got some special things happening here at CHGO today.
Yep.
Because we're actually filming a commercial with our friends at Walmart Business.
Yep.
We've been already working on it this morning. We're going to be working on it later, but we're still doing the show live in the middle of all that. So while you can't see on the other side of the screen are about 18,000 people with real professionalism and a lot of I don't know. It's like Hollywood moved in here.
And they haven't made me nervous at all. Not for 1 second during my 14 and a half takes that I had to do.
Listen, I mean, literally the entire crew is the most professional crew I've ever seen in my life. There's a
guy over Carm's right shoulder right now that might tackle him.
I mean, the whole crew from Andrew to everybody. Amber doing makeup. We haven't had makeup in here ever.
I know.
Am I allowed to pan to this?
Yeah, sure. Why not? He could just come on out. Let's say hello. We're not lying to you. There's like a legit crew. Yes.
And we've never looked better, too. That's
Look
true.
at that guy.
Shout out Walmart Business.
He's the guy that's been making me nervous.
So don't worry. The rest of the show is going to be as normal as possible, as normal as it really ever is. But
and Andrew is a diehard of the show.
That's
so
the best
Andrew.
part. Yeah.
Andrew. Yep.
Andrew.
Yep.
How come
Carmen's quitting?
You listen to Andrew way better than you listen to
That's
me.
because he scares me.
I don't know if that's accurate. I heard a lot of non-listening. Whoever said Carmen's quitting is being the news. That's not nice. But the commercial from
Commercial.
Carm Sweet Bippy. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm taking everything personal these days. It's getting worse.
Anyway, in the future, you can be on the lookout for the final product that comes out with Walmart Business. It's going to be awesome. Shout out to our guy Andrew. Shout out to Greg here and Jake and the whole crew putting it all together. We do have a show to do in the middle of all this, which we are going to continue to do as we do every day. And we did this last year. I liked it, and I think that Steven put this up for debate with us ranking the Bears position groups. Now that the roster it's never final, but it's at the point where we actually I think we're at basically 90 guys, maybe one spot under. But we can actually look at the position groups at this point, really understand who's really involved with each position, and we're going to rank them.
Yeah, I'll jump ahead in here and just give you my criteria of how I sort of went about my rankings, because it is tricky. But I kind of looked for the most elite talent, how I ranked it, and bumped up those groups.
That's fair.
Where are the Bears' best players?
So I did something similar in a much nerdier way, because I went full Hoge spreadsheet.
Ras scored it?
Yeah. Because I'm working on a bigger project that you guys are gonna see. Diehards will see this next week as I'm going to roster tier for the entire Bears roster. And in doing that process actually made this easier for me this morning, but I think there's going to be some controversy here. Greg, do you want to give your criteria?
Yeah, I did the Braggs math. Once again,
nice.
The Braggs math is back for a second day in a row, and we all know this is going to go great with Braggs math. But I think Scottish Bear has kind of won this already. This what we're doing. The best position group is the coaching staff, and none of us were smart enough to put that in there.
Well, that's because that's not a position.
They still deserve their love. Because I honestly feel like that was that whole thing was the biggest acquisition of anything they've done on this team. So if you wanted to be slick,
well, maybe on a different day we can rank the position or the coaching staff versus the rest of the NFC North.
And maybe on this day we might want to point out that let the coaching staff show something before we anoint them to the top of the mountain.
No, that's okay. We're gonna anoint them to the top of the mountain.
All right,
it's the off season.
By the way, are you comfortable today with the Jordan jersey that we usually have?
You okay?
No, it's been hard.
Back there. Is this okay with you?
It's been a hard day for me.
Okay?
I mean, last week we talked to Ruben Hippolyte and he did that LeBron thing, and then before that you had Colston Loveland talking LeBron, and now on our own show here, shout out Walmart Business, no problem. They had to get rid of MJ.
Well, I did have a take
for the day.
I did have a take during the draft that part of the scouting criteria should be to ask each prospect Jordan versus LeBron, and anybody who says LeBron, you just cross them off the list. It would reduce your pool of players down. You could really spend a lot more time. And I'm assuming Tyler Warren would be a Jordan guy since Colston Loveland went the other way. I mean,
who's an MJ guy in that locker room? Caleb. Yeah. Shout out Caleb.
You know who had a great LeBron take the other day?
Who's that?
Stu Gatz, who said that Steph is better.
Than who?
Than LeBron.
That is the momentum right now.
And I agree with him.
LeBron's
we'll
not.
Just leave it there.
Did you see what Kenny Smith said? If you took out his stats, he wouldn't be a top 10 player, in my opinion. Which, I mean, I don't know about removing every stat.
I don't know if you could do that, but okay. I kind of get where he's going.
He's just basically saying he's, that a longevity in the career and all that. But as far as if you're talking about for one season, but anyway, we can do the Bear Show now.
All right. So what we did here to kind of spark the debate is Steven kind of made a consensus ranking here of the position groups between our three rankings, and then that'll spark the debate between each one because there were a couple spots where we did have drastically different thoughts on the position groups as a whole. So I actually haven't even seen this consensus, but we'll do top 5 position groups to start, then the bottom 5. We did include specialists as one of the position groups, so obviously kicker, punter, long snapper, kind of grouping all those together. So here is our consensus top 5 position groups, starting off hot with cornerback. I think we were all in agreement on this one.
We were.
Interested to see the chat's response to us having the offensive line number 2, because when I went through my process, I ended up with the offensive line number 2, and I was surprised by that. But the more I thought about it and looked at it, it made sense to me. So, and I know at least one of the other two of us actually agreed with me, which that also surprised me. Wide receivers number 3, D-line number 4, and tight end number 5. Let's just start with the cornerbacks. So I don't think it should be a surprise that corner is number 1. When I look at just here, a little bit of a sneak peek to the roster tiers coming out next week, I have 2 players that are considered blue players, like top end, among the best at their position in the league. Jaylon Johnson is one of those players. So to your point, Carman, off the top, saying that the position groups that have the elite talent should be weighted higher.
Yep.
I agree with you. But even beyond that, Kyler Gordon, who just got a contract extension.
Hard not to say he's not elite talent as the top paid slot corner.
Yeah, I don't have him. I don't consider him quite to that level yet, but he is certainly a good starter that you win because of, which would be the next tier down. Tyreek Stevenson is also clearly a starting caliber corner. And then beyond that, there's good depth with Terrell Smith and Josh Blackwell, an exciting young player with a lot of traits in Zay Frazier. So overall, this is a good group of corners.
Yeah, I did it just the way you did it. I mean, look, Jaylon was their one Pro Bowler last year. I think you could feel very safe betting on Jaylon again this year. Jaylon's going to do everything he possibly can to keep himself healthy and keep himself on the field. I mean, I know he's had some dings here and there, shoulder, whatnot, but I think he's an easy guy to bet on. Kyler, I mean, it's not what he got paid. He's just because a lot of guys get paid, and that doesn't make them great. Kyler did earn his contract, and Kyler is solid. Tyreek, I think, hopefully with a little more accountability and just his own learning from last year, takes a nice jump. And the backups are solid too. So that was an easy one. I'm surprised that Greg had an offensive line as high as you did. I vehemently disagree with them being number 2 on this list.
Well, can I make that case then? And I want to hear your thoughts on it too, because Greg actually ended up agreeing with me on that, having O-line number 2. So trust me, it surprised me too, because I kind of weighted each group. There's I got nerdy on it. I told you the spreadsheet numbers, blah blah blah. Hoge math versus Bragg's math came out to the same conclusion. Think about that for a second.
Problem for you,
probably. All right, so we want to weigh
serious problem.
Higher talent. Joe Thuney is the best player on the team.
Correct. All pro.
Okay,
he is. He's
in the playoffs every year.
He's arguably the best guard in football. He's certainly among the top 3 in the position group. So right there, you have an all-pro in Joe Thuney.
Yep.
Next tier down, good starters you win because of. Darnell Wright, I put in that category already. He has the potential to become a blue player still, top tier. Drew Dahlman, I have in that category as well. So that's 3 of your 5 starters in the top 2 tiers. You're doing really well there. That's better than most teams have.
I agree.
And Jonah Jackson, when healthy, to me is right on that edge of good starters and solid starters. So 4 of your 5 spots are actually in really good shape, certainly in way better shape than they were a year ago. And honestly, as much as we kind of question Braxton Jones' situation, he's still a solid starting left tackle. He's not bad. It's just everybody looks at that and is like, can you be better? And I think that's a fair thing to think. I think the Bears did that.
Yep.
Can we be better? They ultimately decided we don't have to spend big money at the position. We don't have to spend first-round draft capital, but they did use second-round draft capital to boost the offensive tackle situation, which, to the point about depth, Ozzie Trapil, that's significant draft capital. Karan Amagaji, who they think can continue to develop. Luke Newman's a little bit farther down on that list, obviously, but he's still a young player to develop. And Ryan Bates, for me to mention him 9th, I just went through 8 other offensive linemen before I even got down to Ryan Bates, who was a starter last year as a depth piece. That's not bad. So when you lay it all out like that,
where he's supposed to be.
It's where he should be. It's not a bad room. It's really not. It's actually it's way better than last year.
Not even a debate to me. And they were close for me of being number 1. And the thing that I think people might not remember, we did this exercise last year, and O-line was last, at least for a couple of us. D-line and O-line were either second to last or last. And this year, O-line for us is number 2. And you can make an argument that they should be pushed up to number 1. They've got more boxes to check than cornerback group does. So for me, you see this O-line, it's very encouraging where they're at. But Bragg's math had corners just ahead because Tyreek Stevenson's still, I think a very good player, but obviously Kyler Gordon and Jaylon Johnson are a step above. So that's 66% with Bragg's math. And now if you look at the O-line, 3 of the 5 guys definitively check the box, and that's only 60% with the Bragg's math. Jonah Jackson I'm excited for, but we can't completely check that box until he proves that he can stay healthy. And if he does that, then maybe that's another box checked, which catapults O-line over corner. And that, my friends, is Bragg's math.
Curious if you guys remember who our number 1 group was last year. I went back and checked.
See, I tried to find this episode and I couldn't find it.
I'm assuming it wasn't
quarterback.
Corner?
It was corners.
Oh,
corner.
It was corners.
Yeah,
Okay.
Corner.
So that hasn't changed. There was so much depth there. I mean, we were talking about, who's going to be rotating in, who's going to get cut last year, and we were all arguing about it. That position group remains incredibly strong. And for me, I agree with our consensus list here. That is the strongest group right now on the Bears.
Now, you could argue that was correct. You could also argue that was the position group responsible for the Hail Mary and the whole season tanking.
All right.
Seriously, you know what? Go back. O-line jumps. Bragg's math just got pissed off.
Carm,
and now you remind me of this game.
Carm, why do you disagree on the O-line?
Okay, first of all, the most important position on the O-line is the left tackle.
I disagree.
Okay, that's fine.
It has been for a long time.
It's the highest paid position on the line. You can quibble with it if you want. It's very important. It doesn't even matter if it's the most important. Bottom line is it's important.
Yeah.
And they have an injured Braxton Jones. They have who knows what. Hope he can make it in Karan Amagaji and a rookie in Ozzie Trapillo. That is concerning. You might be moving Darnell Wright because you're trying to put the whole thing together, which could throw 2 spots up in the air. Joe Thuney is 32, 33 years old. That's fine. I'm not saying he can't be, but if I'm betting on a player this year, I feel more comfortable with DJ Moore, who you made the focal point of your trade for the number 1 pick over a guy who the Kansas City Chiefs decided, like, you know what? I guess it's time we can't move on from him. So, look.
Okay, so is your take they shouldn't extend him? Because based on what you just said, they should not extend him.
I would like to. This is how I would do it. If in an ideal land, I would like to see him get on the field with the Bears, see how it gels, let's see how it goes, and then extend him 3, 4, 5 games in the season. If they think that going about that they're risking losing him, then I get signing him now.
But what's different between why do you need to see week 1, week 2, week 3 versus you just watched him play left tackle in the Super Bowl?
I did watch him play.
Tevin Jenkins having to show he's healthy for 5 weeks before you talk contract extension. It's Joe freaking Thuney.
I did watch the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line in the Super Bowl. I mean, come on.
That's not the point. My point is he doesn't have injury concerns. He doesn't have durability concerns. He's an all-pro. He's the best offensive lineman the Bears have had since
Kyle Long.
He's better than Kyle Long. No offense to Kyle, great friend of the show.
Yeah, but he was
Kyle Long would say Joe Thuney's better than Kyle Long.
I agree with that, but Kyle Long was the last All-Pro.
I don't want to make right. My focus should not. My focus on why I don't put the O-line as second is not so much Joe Thuney. That's the most solid part of the O-line. I'm not making an argument against him at all. I'm just saying when you look at you're not exactly sure how you're going to do the tackles. You have a guy at right guard who played 4 games last year. I don't think it's the strongest group on the second strongest group on the team. I don't. The D line. If Montez Sweat actually delivers on what they're saying he's doing, which is having the greatest offseason in the history of Montez Sweat, that dude is way better than anybody that they have on the O-line.
First of all, I'm not arguing about the left tackle. That still is a concern. But the point is it's 1 of 5 spots, and the other 4 are in pretty good shape. Right, I would say this is the best Bears offensive line since they went to the Super Bowl. And the only other one that would probably be in contention off the top of my head, I'm thinking 2013 was a pretty solid offensive line.
But they had a hodgepodge of guys with Jermon Bushrod that kind of led the way. Roberto Garza was playing center.
Right. But what's also interesting about me bringing up that year was Aaron Cromer kind of running that offensive line, came from New Orleans, same type of principles, build inside out, which brings me back to my overall point, which the way they're building this, the way they're running it, I'm not saying left tackle doesn't matter, but you put an all-pro next to the left tackle at left guard. They're building this inside out. They spent money on a real-ass center, which they haven't had since Olin Kreutz. And who lines up to the left of the left tackle when you need to give it help?
Sure.
The tight end. Where do we just have the tight end group on that list?
Up the list.
We had it in the top 5. So, the point is you can help the one problem you do have, and I wouldn't even call it a problem. It's just a question mark at left tackle.
Well, and let me ask you this. When we got through all the signings, who was the person you were most excited, Mark Carman, to see with the Bears this year?
By the way, Steven's going to hit you with that sign.
Yes.
One day you should
all right,
throw it.
Answer this question when we come back from the break.
That.
Great idea, Greg.
That's how you see that? A professional crew comes in here, and look what happens.
I forgot the question, but it was really good.
I'll ask it after the break.
Wildly talented.
In the meantime, let's talk about our friends at Sunnyside. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside is everything you need to elevate your summer, and they're the one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs because Sunnyside is an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from. Plus, they have easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Trust me, it's super easy. And the locations, this is why they're Illinois' favorite dispensary. You can go in the city, Wrigleyville, River North, out to the burbs. You can go as far south as Champaign, South Beloit, plenty more options there as well. If you're just starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance. Go into the store. They're going to take care of you. They're going to answer your questions. And if you're a pro, they have you covered with over 100 strains on the menu as well, with new ones added daily. So visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
And thank you to our great friends at Empire Today. Just like your favorite team needs that home field advantage, you need the home floor advantage. Empire Today can help you get it. They've got the flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. They live and they breathe it, and the best part, they bring their flooring experts right from their showroom to your home. You can pick your flooring and the right colors in your space, see how it looks, your furniture, your house. They do the precise measurements so you can feel super secure that you are getting the best of everything. All questions answered, no surprises, clear, upfront, all-inclusive pricing. Plus, hey, if you're in a hurry, you can schedule the installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners, yeah, that's right. You get a $350 discount when you use the promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard that right. $350 discount with the code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details.
Greg, why don't you ask that question again?
Yeah, so Mark,
Yes, Greg.
when we were Carm, I'm sorry I called you Mark.
called me
there.
Mark.
That was
My name is Mark.
It was
That was
disrespectful. It was
disrespectful.
disrespectful.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, who was the player you were most excited after all the signings were made and the dust was settled? Who was the player that you were most excited for?
The most excited I was for any player. You want to give me the list? Joe Tooney,
okay.
Jonah Jackson. Who else we got here?
Dio
Grady Jarrett,
Then,
Drew Dahlman.
Yeah.
Dahlman would be my
That's your top 5.
Olamide,
Zacchaeus. Yeah, okay, there you go.
Zacchaeus in there.
Okay.
What about Case Keenum?
Case Keenum was not
coming
in.
for your boy.
Who was the tight end?
Durham
Smythe.
Durham Smythe, not Drew Smythe. Good job, Carm.
Smythe.
Do you want me to? I think they're all solid.
Right.
I mean, no, I didn't jump up and down for any of them.
I'm not trying to answer the question for you, but when we got out of the signings and you talked to all the players, you were most excited for Grady Jarrett, who's 34 years old.
I thought that Grady Jarrett had the best press conference. I thought he was the most engaging.
That's how you
guy.
rank the roster.
Right.
That's how you rank the roster.
Right.
Okay. That's
who you like to
I have
Matt.
concerns that Grady Jarrett coming off an Achilles injury in his 30s is not going to be as effective as he once was. Okay, I think, but I love him as a dude, and I love his leadership in the room.
Well, and so if you can give some allowance to a 3-year deal for him, I think we can find a way.
Oh, that's where you're going?
Yeah, for Joe Tooney to have a 3-year deal at 34 years old. Who's got a much more illustrious
By the way,
career.
can we talk about Grady Jarrett in the proper perspective? First of all, he tore his ACL, not his Achilles.
Did I say Achilles?
Yes,
I meant ACL.
and second, that was 2 years ago. He's not coming off an ACL now. He should be stronger than he was last year when he played how many games?
All 17?
All 17
All
games.
17.
So,
and DeAndre Swift too as well, and a guy that had injury history. So
see, it's fine if you all want to jump ahead and proclaim the offensive line is great and Grady Jarrett's great.
Yeah,
it's totally fine. You can do that. I am gonna let it play out a little bit on older players.
Well, I have ranked D-line differently, and we'll get to that point. But for me, I am jumping ahead with Joe Tooney. Yeah. I am jumping ahead.
He's a really good player.
You're gonna. I mean, yeah, he's a great player. He's a great player.
Dude, I'm debating how hard I want to push back because I'm not trying to get on the anti Joe Tooney side. I'm not anti Joe Tooney.
No, don't do that
at all. I'm not. Okay, I think it made a ton of sense. They needed help. They needed a veteran. They needed somebody who knows about winning. All of it made huge sense. I have no huge problem, by the way, to Hoge's question, if they sign him to an extension right now. I think that makes a lot of sense. If you're talking in a perfect world, would I like to see how the O-line gels? Would I like to see him? In a perfect world, I'd sign him. Fourth, fifth game in as the thing's rolling. Oh my God, this guy's great. He's still got it. Great. I'd like to do that, but if not, okay, go ahead, sign him now. No problem.
I'll concede to you, Hoge. Like as much as it seems like everyone is hard on Braxton Jones, It probably is a touch over the top for the kind of player that he is. Yes, he has flaws, but he's not a terrible player.
We did this with Charles Leno.
Right.
And we did this with Charles Leno, and all he did was start every game.
Right.
And then eventually they pushed him away, and
Leno
it became a problem.
And Leno at least had a good offensive line to work with in 2018, where they were productive and they ran the ball well. And so this year, all these guys, Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones specifically, should have the right to show how they look with elite talent inside on that interior offensive line.
All right, let's get to the rest of the our top 5 list. Next on the list was wide receiver, followed by D-line and tight end. I guess the one I had D-line 3rd, and I actually had wide receiver 5th, a little bit farther down. Now, I don't think this actually speaks to how optimistic I am about where this roster is at right now, because I don't view any of those positions as major problems. Surprisingly, I actually had tight end farther down the list, all the way down to number 8. But again, I think that's actually a reflection of how much better the roster has gotten overall, because I don't really view any of these rooms as big problems right now. I guess I'm high on the offensive line, or I'm sorry, the D-line right now. Similar reasons. They don't have a blue player on the D-line, but 3 of their 4 starters I have in the next tier down: Montez Sweat, Grady Jarrett. Just 2. And then right below that, though, straddling that line is Dio Adengbo and Andrew Billings. So, and even when you go down to the depth, I like the fact that the depth are 3 young players that 2 are definitely still developing, and the third one I haven't given up on in Gervon Dexter. I like him where he is in terms of rotational piece, instead of being like, hey, you need to be our 3 technique right now. Shamar Turner, Austin Booker, Gervon Dexter, 3 good young players as depth. And again, it's kind of the same conversation I just had with the O-line. I haven't mentioned Dominique Robinson yet.
Thank God you haven't.
But he's still on the roster, just like the Ryan Bates thing. Talking about guys that are asked to play higher roles last year than they should have been are guys who might not make the team. And that means you got better. So I'm high on the D-line, at least certainly higher than I was last year when we also had them towards the bottom of the list. Now, Greg, you still had your questions on D-line, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, there's not a blue player on this, and it should be Montez Sweat on the defensive line. He should be their blue player, but to this point, he hasn't been. That's not to say he's not a solid player, but right now, the fact of the matter is Montez Sweat has not had a double-digit sack season that didn't include being on 2 different teams in 1 year. So whether he was with Washington or whether he's with Chicago, hasn't had that double-digit season, with the exception of the year he was traded here and he split the sacks, between both the Bears and the Commanders. So the rest of the D-line is definitely, intriguing. I agree there's depth there, Hoge. I'll grant you that. Andrew Billings, who I love, is coming off an injury. Grady Jarrett, who I'm excited to see, is 34 years old. Dio Adengbo, you bring in here, young, has promise, but how many sacks did he have last year? 4? Austin Booker, can he play in the NFL? That's a question mark. Who's getting to the quarterback? You need, if all this depth is going to work, you got to have a superstar player to make that depth really be able to shine out. And I don't know if they have that right now. It could all gel together with Dennis Allen, but as of right now, I have my questions. So D-line for me was in the bottom tier of our top 10. It was in my bottom 5 as opposed to my top 5. I'm surprised you have him as high as you do.
Where I might have overrated the D-line, but also how I got to my bump up for him, I'm putting a lot of faith that Montez Sweat is going to have his best season after having his worst season last year, being injured. The amount of effort that he's putting into working out right now, maybe I'm going too far on that, but I'm believing that this is going to be a physically healthy angry, imposing dude who's going to have a lot of help in that interior added on with Grady Jarrett, with hopefully Dexter making a leap from year 2 to year 3 with an Andrew Billings that's healthy. I am also making a bet on Austin Booker that he does put on weight and he flashed nicely at times last year, so I'm hoping he can build on that. But my bet on the D-line basically is a bet on Montez Sweat.
Well, and the guy we didn't bring up was Shamar Turner.
And I like
the rookie, but he is also coming off an injured season here last year. So
but I think he's plug and play, and I think he can also help you on the outside. So
it's just a lot of intriguing players, but guys that also have question marks attached to them. That's where I'm being trying to be a little more fair to the discussion. I do think they have the potential to be good, but I feel more strongly about the corners and the O-line and some of these other groups that we've talked about or going to talk about at least.
All right, I feel like I need to address why I tight end lower. It's not necessarily a reflection of Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland as much as, I mean, the way I do this, like any of the rookies, they get put in like in the green tier where they're young developmental players, and I need to see something from them first, right? So that just brings it down a little bit. I think it's a lot asking even a first-round talent at tight end. It's probably the hardest position to transition from college to the pro level because of everything that goes into it. Passing game, run game, blocking assignments, all the routes you have to run. And for Colston Loveland, because he can do more, there's going to be more on his plate. So I love the talent. I just think asking him to be considered a starter right away, even if he technically and maybe will be, that's just a lot here 2 weeks after the draft to say that. Cole Kmet is obviously a solid starter. I don't love the depth, if I'm being completely honest, with Durham Smythe and Steven Carlson. If either one of those guys gets hurt, we're talking about, more blocking type tight ends that are not going to catch a lot of passes for you. So that also brought down the tight ends a little bit.
So,
and I also just think it also just speaks to the depth of some of these other position groups.
Yeah. Again, I don't hate the tight end room. I actually like the tight end room. I certainly love the potential of the tight end room, and I had them 8th. So that's actually me saying I am high on this roster overall. Let's we'll take another time out here, and then we'll get to our bottom 5 and go through the consensus, because I think we're going to have a little bit more argument on the bottom 5 as well. But first, our friends at Shady Rays are getting this done. And the reason I know that is because our guy BearFan80 was tweeting at us this morning. He put in an order for his new Shady Rays. He used the code CHGO and got his discount, like always.
35% off.
And if you do that, please send us those tweets.
Let's see the shades. Let's see the shades.
Sales team loves seeing that. Trust me. Our friends at Shady Rays, they're always helping you to get the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. When we first started talking about Shady Rays, they had a good amount of options. Now when you go to their website, they have an insane amount of options. Really, for any activity you want to do, hiking, running, golf, doing nothing, sitting on a boat, which is my favorite activity in the summer, they have all of those options for you. Driving. And with so many colors available, you'll find a pair that is perfect for you. It's why they're rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. If your shades ever go missing too, this is always the best part about Shady Rays. They go missing. They take an unexpected hit. Greg sits on them. You don't have to sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Or Carm sits on them.
Greg sits on them.
No, you went with that. You went with the thing over there, and it's okay.
But that, yes, you'll get one back.
You've sat on
the lost or broken replacements, yes.
Yeah, okay. And if you don't love your shades, you can exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. CHGO viewers and listeners, go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with code CHGO. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use code CHGO today at shadyrays.com.
Hey, if you want to get your life in order, pay attention to our friends at rate.com. If you want to buy a home, get a loan, deal with money stuff in general, that can be a lot. That's why we're telling you about the Rate app. And look, it's a game changer. And if you use that QR code to download it right now, you are going to be happy on a million different levels. Let's first of all talk about the pre-approved mortgage in minutes. That is sweet. No need to jump through a million hoops. They make it super easy for you. Let's talk about a home equity loan or a personal loan. You can get that ordered and under and done in 15 days. The Rate app also helps you find the best homeowners and auto insurance. I know you're overpaying for that. They'll hook you up. And by the way, this thing is powered by AI. It's smart. It saves you money, all the good things. And then, for free, they've got 800 free wellness videos, meditation, breathing exercises, stretching, all the things, food, nutrition, everything, anything to help you feel better mentally and physically. It is on the Rate app, and it's all free. So, look, if you're stressed out about a loan, mortgage, life in general, let the Rate app handle it. Once that's covered, you get, you can just relax on the Rate app with all the meditation and anything else. One step that helps both your wallet and your well-being. It's a great help to this show if you download the Rate app today. So hit that QR code. Costs nothing. Get it downloaded. Hook yourself up. Hook us up. Thank you to our friends at Rate.
Yeah. You got to fill out the information, too, when you not just download it, but definitely helps us out here at CHGO.
I did it. It took less than 30 seconds to download and fill out that info. Yeah. Really easy. Awesome app.
It's a beauty.
All
Get
right.
in there. Thank you.
Bottom 5, which is not really a fair way to put it, but technically we're doing a top 5 and a bottom 5. The second half, which is where Caleb Williams.
Sunshine that Braggs just brings to everywhere he goes. Look at that.
It's basketball season. Some good games on last night.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Well, the second half. First half, second half.
Football has the second half.
Just shut up. Okay, Bragg's math.
I was stunned that the Nuggets came back last night. That was great. Shout out DNVR. Go ahead.
I actually do have a tiny bit of NBA conversation before we get out of here.
Snidbit.
All right. It's actually shout out.
Okay.
It gets confusing. I know. Our D block is fun. Quarterback coming in at number 6 on our list. Followed by the specialists, the linebackers. Again, I think that speaks to some of the good depth on this team. Like, linebackers we consider a position of need, but not because, the top 2 guys are bad, right? Maybe the only 2 real concerns I have when we get into this would be safety and running back down there at the bottom at number 9 and number 10. But I don't know. You guys have any strong thoughts on this?
Well, I just thought we did a good job being fair to where the Bears are at right now. And if you're talking about winning a Super Bowl, the quarterback cannot be number 6 on this list. So right now, after a rookie season, which was fine, but obviously Ben Johnson is here to help it get to be a whole lot better. That ultimately is the number one thing we're all going to be watching again and again and over again, and will be the main talking point of the entire season. And the fact that we all have it rated in the bottom half is the most interesting thing to me. Going back and forth, safety, wide receiver for myself, like at the bottom, you just can't bet on Jaquan Brisker being healthy.
Running back, you mean?
Safety, running back. What did I say?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Safety, running back. Excuse me. Can't go. Is Brisker going to be healthy? I don't know. If he is, that group can get bumped up a ton. But if he isn't, you don't really have a lot of immediate depth that you're excited about. I mean, Elijah is fine, and then Byard's no spring chicken either. So I think it was logical. And then what do they have behind DeAndre Swift? And can he find his footing a little bit better this year? So I think the bottom of it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, even running back at 10, I don't hate the room. I don't have a massive problem with the running back room. I think it's the one position. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's the one. So here's why running back was last for me. It's the one position that I do not have a single player in the top 2 tiers. No blue players, no red players. DeAndre Swift is a solid starter you can win with the right coaching, the right system, and the right weapons around him, which is what the Bears are going to try to do this year with DeAndre Swift as their RB1. And then beyond that, I'm certainly intrigued by Kyle Monangai. I'm actually still intrigued by Ian Wheeler, believe it or not, sort of the forgotten man in that whole conversation. And Roschon Johnson and Travis Homer are more backup special teamer types who still bring value to the roster. So So yeah, I would love if there was another player besides DeAndre Swift in this room that had better speed. Ian Wheeler's probably, if you line them all up and raced, would Ian Wheeler come in second, DeAndre Swift?
Well, coming off an ACL injury, we don't know.
Yeah, well, okay, healthy Ian Wheeler. Yeah, it's a fair point. But he's coming off an injury. So I think that's why it's fair to put the running back room last. But I don't have a major problem with this room either.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue is how DeAndre Swift is able to mix with Ben Johnson, who obviously with the Lions, they chose to upgrade at that position when DeAndre Swift was there. Everybody else after that, Roschon Johnson, you got to prove it. Kyle Monungai, as excited as we are for him, and his tape looks very good from what he did at Rutgers, he's got to prove it. Ian Wheeler, coming off a pretty bad injury. Love the guy. Good dude behind the scenes, but he's got to prove it. So, we're in a prove it stage for all four guys. DeAndre Swift, even Ben Johnson said it himself. He's got to learn to not try to hit the home run every single time. And we saw that on tape, regardless of the fact that their offensive line was as bad as it was. But just like Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright, he also gets an opportunity to prove what he is around a much better circumstance than what they were dealing with last year.
See, to the way Hoge's going about this, you can talk up any group on the Bears. You can the running back room could be a huge surprise this year. DeAndre Swift could absolutely have a big year with a better offensive line, second-year quarterback, better play calling. Monungai comes in and does a lot of the dirty work.
Right.
He could have a great year.
He could.
He absolutely could. Safety room. Brisker gets healthy. He's good to go. Solid Byard. Maybe even Kyler Gordon pops in there in a creative Dennis Allen situation where they just move guys around and everything's just flowing. I mean, it's entirely possible.
The difference is the corners have shown who they are.
I understand.
Versus people that still need to show what they can be.
I got it.
So that's Brisker, how the rankings go. Is guys that have proven it versus
I understand
versus potential.
I understand, but to the what you're trying to lay out, I think, is that this team could win a lot of games this year potentially. I think is what you're getting to.
I think it's a much improved roster.
Right.
Yes.
All the way across the board. Yes.
Yeah. Well, when you say all the way across the board, though, if I was going to pick at that comment, which I love to do, is the linebacking room better? They've added Kyle Monungai. They've added Ruben Hippolyte.
Right.
All right. I mean, Jack Sanborn's not in that room anymore. Now you could make an argument. You could make an argument that linebackers are going to be better because they're going to know how to use Tremaine a little bit better this year. I'd like to think that. That's where, you did re-sign TJ.
And while I think that they have the potential to be very good under Dennis Allen, Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, who have shown at times who they are here in this league. TJ Edwards just gets a contract extension. But as far as my list, which I'm sure we'll reveal our individual lists here, I just had them lower. So I didn't talk up the linebackers like that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that the issue at linebacker would be the depth. I think we have our individual lists, right? Just for the record. I don't think we have to go into depth with these ones, but we did do our individual list. So here's mine. I did have corner number 1, which we agreed with as a consensus. O-line number 2, D-line number 3. I mean, let's just not sleep on that fact, whether you agree with it or not. The fact that we went from those two spots being
bottom two
last year to now number 2 and number 3, at least on my list, it shows some improvement. I had the specialists higher. Part of that's kind of the way I weighted it is maybe a little unfair, but they have 3 starters that you can rely on. So most positions maybe don't have that, so they're 4th. Wide receiver, quarterback 6th, linebacker 7th, tight end 8th, safety number 9, and running back 10th. Steven, which one are we going with next?
We could go with Carms.
Carm?
This is the brilliant list. Quarterback, obviously, is number 1.
Corner.
Shout out Jaylon. And then I feel super comfortable with the wide receiver room, with the Luther Burden being added with a second year of Rome and DJ just anchoring that. And then I go D-line. Best player on the team, Jaylon, second best player on the team. DJ, third best player on the team. Montez better be. I know that hurts Hoge's heart that I don't have Joe Tooney up there. Are we gonna get a walk off? Can we get a walk off?
Why are you walking off? What did he do?
It's Tooney. It's a Tooney.
Put Tooney as like the fourth best player on the team.
Yeah,
I swear he's never watched Joe Tooney play football.
Yeah,
it's the only explanation.
Yeah, and now he's on the Bears.
I'm not looking at him the rest of the show.
Well, don't look at him. I'm looking around you to him. But yes, you.
Okay, I'll remind you. Clip that. Put that in the vault. That reaction. Sweat's gonna have a better year than Tooney. Mark that down.
I hope you're right. By the way.
Well, okay.
They need that.
That's right. And by the way, he's in his prime right now. Tooney back end prime. Come on, Montez. You're working out every single day. Carm's making a bet on you. You're raising that group up. Go back to my.
You really, as the elder statesman on the show, should have more respect for the older players on the roster.
No, I know what it's like to get.
I
know what it's like to get old and have a partially torn Achilles and can't play anything. So let's.
All right, Carm's list. Respect the full screen.
Hey, by the way, Chim Richels. Hoge thinks Tooney is a first ballot Hall of Famer or something. He is.
He is.
Take that, Chim. All right.
Idiot.
Listen. Cole Kmet gonna have a huge year alongside the Rook, who is getting talked up left and right. Tight end room's gonna be huge this year. Linebackers, I'm making a big bet on you, Tremaine. You're gonna have your best year. Contract's coming up. Let's go. TJ, you got paid. You're solid. And whatever, I've fallen in love with Ruben Hippolyte because he came on the show. O-line, it's just too many moving parts right now for me to get super excited about it. QB, that's where Caleb belongs right now, going to second year. The specialists, can't have any problem. I had to put them above safety and running back. I don't really care about the specialists. They're fine. So
Braggs.
Yes, sir. We'll get to my list here quickly because we've kind of been through everything here. But corner, obviously, first for all of us. O-line, second. Beat that horse to death here. Wide receivers third for me. Obviously, I'm very high like Carm for this wide receiver room. I am kind of basing a little bit off potential with Luther Burden and feeling very strongly about his potential. But the rest of that room, Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Olamide Zacchaeus. I'm excited. I'm even excited for him, honestly.
Double Zacchaeus.
Yeah, Devin Duvernay is coming in here doing a little bit. Let's see if Tyler Scott can still stay on this roster. Tight end. We all know about the tight ends here. Cole Kmet. And then, of course, Colston Loveland, a first-round pick, a top 10 pick. So I have to go there. Quarterback 5, which I think, I know we're getting to the back end of our show, but I do think quarterback has to be discussed. We haven't really discussed that much. But the specialists, I've got them higher. Devin Duvernay is the punt and kick returner. He was a former Pro Bowler at that position. Torrey Taylor, Hoge's guy, obviously could have the potential to be one of the better punters in the league. Still very good in his own right. And then Cairo bangs in the game winner against the Green Bay Packers to finish the year. I think special teams is actually a very solid group. And so that's where I got them. The rest of it, we've kind of gone through. D-line, safety at 8, linebacker 9, running back 10. So that's kind of where I'm at. So what was for all three of us? I had quarterback at 5. You had it at?
I had quarterback at 6.
I had it at 7. That's how we got to 6. You had him at
7.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing to quibble with all three of you. Shame on all three of you, especially you, Carm.
Wow.
Tyson Bagent is in that group.
That's a good point.
Caleb Williams, this is the best quarterback hopefully we've ever had. And we're going to put him that entire
Case
position
Keenum
group.
is your third string.
Yeah.
So where would you put it?
It's got to be top 4 for me.
They were close for me.
So let me hear your.
So you think the
quarterbacks
are better than the wide receivers?
No, I would go. I'm going to do this on the fly here. I would go corner, wide receiver. I think I go tight end, then quarterback.
So you got the quarterback over the O-line. You got it over the D-line. I don't know, man.
I do.
I don't know, Steven, but that's...
I'm in prove-it mode for this offseason. I'm excited for Caleb Williams' potential. I think he showed his floor, as Hoge talked about.
Okay, I can debunk your tight end over quarterback thing immediately.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Colston Loveland, Caleb Williams. Like...
What's that a question?
So, who's better?
Caleb.
Okay. And Cole Kmet is an established starter.
Yes.
Does the Does the quarterback room have another established starter?
Case Keenum once upon
honestly,
a time
I think
was.
Tyson Bagent can
Case
start for a lot
Keenum
of
had
teams.
1 year. He's been in the league for 900
Sorry,
years
Steven.
and had one year as a starter.
I didn't mean to cut you off. This
No,
is
you're
Steven's round.
Case Keenum is here to
I understand, but
mentor.
he's just had more starts than Tyson, is all I'm saying. I know
Do you know
you're
how many
going to get
great
offended.
quarterbacks have started their year 2-2 as a starter? Do you know that Aikman went 1-15? Bagent 2-2. Take that.
All right, calm down.
Bagent greater than Aikman.
Just calm down. Sorry, Steven.
No, I think Tyson Bagent can start for some teams. I know he's our backup, but
Somebody give Steven a raise.
that's quote him on that. Yeah.
Okay.
I listen. I just trying to be fair to where the QB's at right now. I think it's totally fine. I hope, but to my point that we talked about, I hope by the end of the year, there's no doubt QB top 3. That's why the Bears are winning a lot of games.
Yeah, and
that would be sweet.
And I guess quarterback could be a little closer to being over tight end if you combine Tyson with Caleb over Colson and Cole, but it's close.
But listen, as if we're going to be real for a
With my
second,
Brags,
as the
man.
mayor of the Tyson Bagent fan club, you're not going to elevate that room for just because Bagent is the backup. That's the
It's
harder. Too much.
Well, and that's the harder part about doing positional rankings with the quarterback is all the rest of
No teams have 2 starting quarterbacks.
Correct.
And if they do, it means they don't
Exactly.
really have any starting quarterbacks.
Exactly.
They have like 2 fringe starters.
everybody else's
Yeah.
backups can play.
Right. So it sort of does bring your quarterback room down unless you have one of the elite guys.
Right.
Then you're bumped way higher. All right. All of this though leads us to our next topic where we've talked about all these positions, we've talked about all these players, and then you go to the Bears website, and we know this has been floating around Twitter because I've had people send this to me. And here is Ben Johnson's depth chart. If you're hearing silence on the podcast, it's because there's nothing on it. And if you're watching on YouTube, you could see there's nothing on it. Now, I know a lot of people, including our producer, Steven, want to take Ben Johnson at face value and believe that there really is not a depth chart. I'm going to be the one who's throwing cold water on this. First of all, from a very real technical standpoint. In the time I've covered the Bears, they've never put out a depth chart on their website until they are absolutely forced to by the NFL when they have to put out their notes before the first preseason game every year. That's when they have to actually put out a game release, and in there needs to be a depth chart. So don't read into the fact that there's nothing on the website. Now, Steven did have a couple counterpoints to that. So I'll let him bring that up.
Yeah, I looked up several other teams' websites, and what they said, like, for instance, the Bengals was one I looked at, and said first depth chart will be released prior to week 1 of the regular season. Then I looked up the Packers' depth chart. They have a depth chart.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't fully updated. I didn't see Matthew Golden on there, for instance, but there is something on there. I would love to believe that this is intentional, and Ben Johnson is really trying to say this is a pure competition all across the board.
So that sounds great. One, shout out to the other teams that at least put on there, hey, a depth chart coming or whatever. The Packers, for whatever reason, have never cared about the depth chart. They've had it on their website. They let the media show up at OTAs and literally be like, hey, here's this player's on the first team. This player's on the second team. This player's on the third team. The Bears do not let us do that. Last I checked, I don't think that's hurt the Packers in the standings that they do that, but that's how the point of all this is. None of this is new. Now, to Steven's point, let's say there hypothetically isn't a depth chart, and Ben Johnson's serious about that. That first practice is going to be very confusing. There's going to be 90 guys on the field saying they're on the first team.
Okay, regardless of it being confusing, if he's being serious about having nobody on the depth chart, I love that. The meatball in me loves that.
Okay.
Like, boys, we're going to earn it. You're going to come out here, and I don't care about the name on the back of the jersey. I care about the name on the front. And that is what Bears football is going to be going forward. And we're going to come out here, and I don't care how big of a superstar you are. I don't care how much money you made coming out of college. We're going to come out here and we're going to compete and we're going to earn it. And that is the biggest meatball take I'm going to have today.
And I love that.
That's the kind of thing I love.
Crystal here somewhere in reality world where she says, I think that Ben Johnson is trying to make them work for it. It's a bit to me. This is what's actually happening. You put out to your players, hey, there is no depth chart that you guys know about.
This is a meritocracy.
Okay? But trust me, those coaches have most likely a spreadsheet or whatever form of an actual depth chart they use, whether it's their individual position groups, whether it's the whole offense. Ben Johnson has a depth chart. And when they take the field for the first OTA practice where they actually get to run offense versus defense, it will be communicated to the players. Even if they say, hey, this is just the depth chart for today, practice number 1, and it could be very different tomorrow. This is what it is, because you still have your 1s run out there and your 2s, and the players need to know which team they're on so that you can run an efficient practice. And I'm going to give you another reason why you actually have to be careful, for real now, why you actually have to be careful with this and why there should, in some cases, be an actual depth chart. I don't want to see any of this nonsense of Jaylon Johnson running with the 2s under a new head coach.
Yep.
Like,
but that happened, right? With Matt
did.
Eberflus.
Well,
so he made him earn it and then look.
okay, but if they want, okay, let me clarify.
But look how that turned out, right?
Okay, let me clarify on that. If it's a case-by-case basis, I don't want to see that with Jaylon Johnson
or Joe
now.
Tooney.
How about with Tyreek
Or
Stevenson?
Joe Tooney.
Right.
How about with
Tyreek Stevenson, I'm okay with.
So that's the thing. Look, I will bet a lot of money that when they get on the field for the first time, Caleb Williams will be the starting quarterback and Joe Tooney will be the starting left guard and Drew Dahlman will be the center.
You'd have Tooney on the second team. Like, earn it. Earn it, old man River.
Right. and I'll bet Tremaine starting, and I'll bet TJ starting, and I'll bet Jaylon starting. However, I also will bet that Ben Johnson has some dudes on this roster that he ain't in love with, who are going to have to do a little extra proving it. So if you guys want to take a stab, maybe that's a segment for another day, as to who needs to prove it the most to Ben, who has sort of been a mainstay here, have at it, because that's what this is. To me, that's what this is about.
Which is what it really is about.
Yeah. And so who's on that list? You could speculate, pure speculation, that Tyreek could be one of those guys. You could speculate that Jaquan Brisker could be one of those guys. You
Luther
could speculate
Burden.
That Cole Kmet is one of those guys.
The rookies, all the rookies.
Obviously, all the rookies for sure. You might be. You can speculate.
Roshan.
You could speculate on Roshan. You want to speculate on Bajent versus
Austin
the other
Booker.
guy who remains nameless. You could do that too.
Dominique Robinson, Austin Booker.
Yeah, I mean, all these dudes are, that's what's up.
Okay, that's what's up. Cool.
That is what's up.
That should be a new segment. That's what's up.
That's what's up.
All right. Let's get to Snidbits, should we?
I got some.
Shall we?
I am so excited about my Snidbit today.
Why don't you give the Snidbit, because it's going to lead to a bigger conversation that I want to have for another time on this show.
Okay.
I've done it before, but we have an epidemic in the sports world that we really need to take care of.
Well, it is rookie minicamp this weekend. Of course, we're covering it like no one's ever covered rookie minicamp in the history of rookie minicamps. And so we'll have a live show Friday after it and on Saturday as well. And one of the additions to rookie minicamp, listen up, Bears fans, Vincent Murphy.
God, I thought you were going to do the number thing.
It
was such a better Snidbit.
He literally said
Yeah.
before the show at the 58-minute mark, you are not allowed to say Vincent Murphy. And
And
this
he
is
did it.
exactly.
Literally.
He
in 58.
literally said that. And at the exact 58-minute mark, Mark Carman
I talked
couldn't
about
go
this.
to the other Snidbit.
He couldn't do the other one, which was actually better.
He had to do.
I am going to get to both of my Snidbits, but since this is the Snidbit that I'm more excited about.
Not only did that actually happen, but it might even be on a Walmart business commercial.
Yes.
Shout out Walmart Business. Vincent A. Murphy. Let's get the middle initial in there because we share the same middle. I'm an Alex, Vincent. Hope you are too. He was born September 27th of 2000. Vincent was. He moved on to 3 years at South Carolina, 19, 20, and 21. And then he doffed the chapeau at Western Kentucky for a couple of years. Shout out Chet Kopic, 2022, 2023. And then he had 1 year at Tulane, the 3 college stops.
Mhm.
This is a guy who's battled his way, looking for an opportunity, trying to get on the field. He barely got on the field at Carolina. And
I'm just warning you, you're going to have to pause here to tell people to become a diehard.
Well, that's
Why
the
don't you
point.
do that right
I
now?
don't need
another reason why you weren't supposed to do this.
Do it
in
right
58.
now.
I don't need to pause because it goes right into it. And that's why I want Vincent A. Murphy to become a diehard on the CHGO Bears podcast, because that's where you've struggled, you've battled, and that's the type of guys we're looking for. Vincent, you get a free T-shirt right when you come on in here. Also, you're going to get elite content from all of us in the written world. I'm working on a great piece right now that is going to be dynamic, damn it. So check it out on our guy Ruben Hippolyte.
That was great.
Yeah.
Good job.
And
Can I?
and I'll wrap it up. Vincent is going to be at rookie minicamp, and I'm going to have my eyes on him. He plays center, if you're wondering what position.
Thank you. I was about to say, for the 99% of the audience, including myself and Greg here and Steven, who's producing the show, and everybody here from Walmart Business and everybody in Chicago and the world, what position does he play?
Well, he's a center, Hoge, but he's also played all 5 positions on the O-line, which I thought you would get all hot and bothered by. And he was in the criminology and criminal justice program at one of the colleges that he went to. I forgot where I clipped that one out of, but this guy's a man of integrity. He respects the law. Vincent Murphy might make the Bears or could be your next lawyer, but I'll be watching him this weekend. Now, my other snidbit is that DeAndre Carter, my guy, who's no longer with us, is now a Cleveland Brown, and apparently they asked him what number you want. So he's like, give me number 2.
He's still with us in the world, by the way.
Yeah,
just
he's
not with the Bears.
Well, he's a Brown.
To clarify.
So DeAndre Carter took number 2, which means that Shador has got to give up his number 2, and he's wearing number 12. DeAndre Carter effed Shador. Do
you really believe that?
Not on purpose.
If Shador wanted number 2, he could have gotten number 2.
Really? I don't know. They already drafted one quarterback. He's the 5th round QB. I don't think it's time for Shador to walk in there like, give me number 2, I'm Shador.
DeAndre Carter doesn't get to claim number 2 over any quarterback.
DeAndre Carter has number 2, did claim it, and Shador has to wear number 12. DeAndre Carter's greatest accomplishment in his NFL career is the fact that he took 2, and Shador's got to go to number 12. By the way, good luck to Shador. Hope he has a great season, gets on the field. It'll be entertaining for everybody.
All right, well, this leads me to my snippet. Did you see this over the weekend about how I guess the Giants asked Phil Simms if Abdul Carter could wear number 11 because it's retired?
Uh-huh.
And then Warren Moon with the Titans gave Cam Ward number 1.
Because Warren Moon's cool.
Okay, regardless of...
And then who asked Lawrence Taylor for the number? Wasn't that Abdul Carter?
Oh, is that what it was? No.
Yeah.
No, Phil Simms was number 11, right?
Phil Simms was 11. Phil Simms said no.
Yeah, but I thought he originally asked Lawrence Taylor, and they were
his number.
And Lawrence Taylor was like, "Hell no."
Okay, but see, this leads me to my point.
Because
Okay,
he's a real Hall of Famer.
Lawrence Taylor should have his number retired. All right, Phil Simms should not have his number retired, and it's no disrespect to him. I've talked about this before on the show. We retire way too many numbers. If you're literally saying nobody else in the history of this franchise, think of it 100 years from now, can wear this number, that should be reserved for the all-time greats. Like the number that's usually behind my head here, number 23. Okay? More Ring of Honors, please. Because I'm not saying players don't deserve to be in a Ring of Honor. Phil Simms should be in the Giants Ring of Honor. For sure.
Yeah.
But if at any point, whether it's 3 years down the line or 30 years down the line, whatever it is, you have to even have this conversation. Or Warren Moon even needs to think about giving up his number to this guy, or Phil Simms. That means you shouldn't have retired it in the first place.
Yep.
It should be a no question. If anybody else wears that number in the history of the franchise, it's just going to look weird. It's going to sound weird. Yep. Nobody's going to like it. That should be reserved for like 3 to 5 players, depending on how long your organization has been around, and that's it. It's ridiculous.
And my biggest take on this whole retired numbers thing, and I think, Carm, you'll agree with me, is that the number 23 should be retired in this entire city. It should never be worn again, starting with Michael Jordan, but every team in this city has had a great 23, from Ryan Sandberg, Jermaine Dye, Robin Ventura. They've had great 23s in this city. Thank you very much. But for Jordan alone, the number 23 should never be worn in the city of Chicago again. And if the Miami Heat can retire the number 23, then the rest of the city of Chicago can retire the number 23. And that's a real thing. Pat Riley down in Miami in the rafters, they have retired the number 23. I mean, the whole NBA could retire the number 23 for all I care, but I'll just reserve it for Chicago.
Well, I would actually
Ron wore 6
I'll meet you
in
halfway on that and say maybe 23 should be retired across the NBA. Are you telling me that Devin Hester never should have worn 23?
No, I'm saying
that's your guy.
Well, and that's my point. Is Devin has it's already
No, I'm saying let's go back to your criteria.
But
that means Devin Hester never wore 23. Are you okay with that?
If it had happened before Devin Hester had ever played, yes, I would have been fine with it because as soon as Michael Jordan retired, no one should have worn it. But since Devin wore it, I loved the symmetry there because Devin Hester, Ryan Sandberg, Jermaine Dye, Robin Ventura, Michael Jordan. We've had great 23s in this city. So to me, I don't have any problem with it being retired for good for if you want to just honor it for Jordan or if you just want to say for all the great 23s of all time in this city.
I mean, as the mayor of MJ Island, I don't have a problem with other sports wearing it. I don't. And I don't even have a problem with other.
I think that was actually a counterpoint to my whole argument that I just made. We're retiring too much numbers. Now we're telling the Brooklyn Nets they can't have 23.
I mean, the Miami Heat retiring Michael Jordan's number is one of the coolest honors.
That was awesome.
It's cool, but
it's awesome.
Good for them, but that doesn't mean that everybody should. I think they should be because,
I mean, I think
he kicked your ass, Miami. Sorry.
I mean, it's embarrassing.
Really, the Knicks should be retiring Jordan's number.
That's true.
The Heat, I mean, we beat them a couple times in the playoffs, but the Knicks.
All right, let me just make this point. And I guess I'll grant Lawrence Taylor some leeway here. But I think it's cool if a player comes to you and asks you to wear your uniform. Certainly Phil Simms would be like, that's really sweet. I appreciate you honoring my jersey and asking me. And then you're back in the conversation. LT could have been back in the conversation. To say no, I mean,
they have every right.
No.
It shouldn't even get to the player. The organization should be the one to say, sorry, guy.
That is an organization coming embarrassingly to you being like, hey, we actually shouldn't, because whether they're saying it out loud or not, that's what they're saying. Hey, Phil, we actually shouldn't have retired your number. Do you mind if we let this guy who's never played it down have your number?
They're not saying it should be retired. They're saying
that is what they're saying.
Well,
because what it should be, hey, can I wear number 23? Are you out of your mind? Hell no, you can't wear 23. That's what the conversation should be. If you've actually done it properly, that's what it should be.
Let me give you a hypothetical because the Bulls are going to retire Rose's jersey, right? Okay, so the one goes up. All right, 10 years from now, incredible kid from Chicago comes right out. Bulls have the number 1 pick because they still haven't gotten out of the lottery. They with the number 1 pick, and Derrick Rose Jr., whatever his name is, comes along, and he wants to wear Rose's jersey to honor his legacy in Chicago. Don't you think that's super cool?
Well, right there, you might have come up with the only scenario in which I'm okay with that is if it's literally the guy's kid.
Right.
Other than that, no. If you're having that conversation, then the number shouldn't have been retired in the first place.
Okay.
Matt Nagy in the chat said Joe Flacco asked to wear number 11 at Delaware. I told him no.
Would you ever let anybody wear Michael Jordan's number under those circumstances you just painted?
See, Jordan's like a different category for me.
That's my point.
But that's a different category.
No, it's not.
It is for me.
The people in the chat give me crap about naming Jermaine Dye. Yes, Robin Ventura is the better 23, but Jermaine Dye was World Series MVP. I hate the White Sox, but like World Series MVP. Maybe you're
3 people give you crap on that.
Maybe you're a stranger to the lack of success here in Chicago, but when you're a World Series MVP, that certainly holds weight here.
Okay. Right. But yes.
Who are the 3 people that went at you?
Thank you for depending Jermaine Dye on that. And I'm not even sure I'd rank.
Robin's above Jermaine for sure. Yes. But Jermaine gets a shout for being world. Dude, Robin Ventura was great.
I know he was like my favorite player in the 90s.
Right.
But I don't.
Robin Ventura is like the Mark Grace of the White Sox. Both great players.
With more power.
Yeah. Robin had more power.
Yeah.
Mark Grace had more hits.
Okay.
Most hits of any player in the 90s.
Yeah, just for
Thank
the
you
record,
very much.
2005 did happen, so thanks for making sure people remember that.
Yeah. Well, apparently the chat forgot.
Robin was a great manager.
By the way, quick shout out. I do want to give a quick shout out to the NBA for rebounding last night. I had it in the rundown yesterday to basically say how the NHL has been dunking on the NBA throughout the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would have been an accurate take yesterday, but yesterday was awesome. Congrats to the NBA. They've won one night of the playoff season so far. And
Pacers are a fun team to watch.
you can't do that if you haven't been watching. I've actually been watching both, so I can have a take on both. You haven't watched 5 seconds of the NHL
That's
playoffs,
incorrect.
So don't snore at it.
Incorrect take by you.
Okay, how many of you watched? How many games have you literally turned on?
I talked about how Jaqueline, my beautiful girlfriend,
I didn't ask how much your girlfriend's been watching hockey.
Well, I
asked
have
how
to
much
watch
you've
because
been
of her. I wouldn't be watching, but I am watching.
Okay.
So I have watched. Take that, Hoge. And let me tell
What
you.
happened in the third period of the game last night?
It was great. 5-4. Somebody won. I know that there was wild things that happened. Winnipeg stayed alive over the weekend.
The goaltender went to the hospital after getting hit in the head in the middle of the game. The backup came in and it sucked, and the Maple Leafs almost lost.
Sounds fascinating. I'll make sure to turn it on tonight. Who's playing tonight? The Panthers?
There's a lot of games on tonight. No, the Panthers played last night, which is my point that you never had the game on last night. Thanks for proving it.
I didn't watch last night. Name a Panther.
Matthew Tkachuk?
Yeah.
Bobrovsky, the goaltender?
You idiot.
Name a Winnipeg Jet. No chance. 0 points.
We're ending the show,
Yeah.
unfortunately, or I'd name you a whole bunch of Winnipeg
I'm
Jets.
sure you would. Name a Blackhawk.
Hallebuck, the best goaltender in the entire league. Okay.
Name a Blackhawk defense.
You're the one who should be naming any of these players.
We're ending the show, guys. That's
understand
where
how I
we're-
deflect.
Yes, I do. And you sound like, stop doing that because name a Blackhawks defenseman. The one who's been on CHGO the entire season. You just sound like an idiot when you do that.
Well, yeah, he sounds like an idiot.
Listen, Hoge's trying to make hockey like mainstream.
Surprise?
I am.
Yeah,
I am.
And listen, I love Hoge hockey. I think
This all started with me trying to give the NBA its flowers for one day, actually, is what actually happened.
Hoagie hockey.
dunked on the NBA.
I did.
One day,
I did.
Okay, so slow
Computer
down.
close. Superchats.
Jake Anderson, $5. Shout out to Braggs for cleaning up Bears Twitter.
Yeah, you're welcome. I don't want
That
to
was hilarious.
I don't want to talk about it. We're moving on. It's been too much
I almost
babysitting.
responded. I almost dared you to ban me.
Too much babysitting going on in the Bears Twitter community, but I tried my best to help.
Who's the
and
biggest
in doing
culprit?
so, I missed my turn going to my doctor's appointment yesterday, so I'm tired of it. No more.
Stop trying to clean up Bears Twitter while you're driving.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I missed my turn because of it.
It's not their fault.
It is their fault.
It
Very
kinda is.
distracting.
Okay. Davion Smith, I never got my shout out. I'm Team Braggs. Love the passion.
Let's go.
Could be friends one day. LOL. But Carm, I want a shout out because I became a diehard 2 weeks ago.
Davion, excuse me. Davion, let me tell you something about you.
Not off to a great start.
No.
Here's your shout out.
I took the glasses up. Davion, let me tell you something. You know what I like about you instantly and why I'm proud to have you in the diehard community? Because you advocate for yourself. You're a guy that, hey, you're going to go down the street, you're going to do your thing, and you're going to come correct. But the bottom line is sometimes people don't realize what you're bringing to the table. And hey, you're not going to hang out in the shadows. You're going to step up and you're going to let people know. And that's what I relate to. And that's why we are proud to have you as a member of the diehard community. Thank you, Davion. You're the man.
All right, we got Trevor Lamarche, $2 super chat. Le Marche, giving me a little correction saying Braggs Grady is 32 because we were talking about Joe Tooney being 34, and I believe I did say that Grady Jarrett was 34 as well. So thank you for the clarification, but I was using my Braggs math, and so that's a whole different type of math with
We're not good at numbers on this show.
Which one are we doing next?
Last one or two
Arctic.
more.
$5. If Caleb doesn't improve this year, what week will you folks be willing to entertain and collaborate on my complaints about Poles and Caleb? Bear down. I'll give you the bye week, whenever that is.
Hopefully it's not week 4.
And Lloydissimus.
Lloydimus.
I don't know why I added an extra S in there. Hey, I signed up as a diehard. How do I get the link to the Discord? I believe it's under the Discord, the diehard menu thing on the website. I think if you just scroll down, there's a link to what's called the CHGO Lounge. Right?
Well, I've been
Or
in
the diehard lounge.
I've been in the Discord for like 3 years now, so I don't know.
Okay.
I should know.
But I'm actually giving a real answer.
He sounds right.
Yeah. Do what I just said. It's the menu at the top. I'll just verify.
Yep. Lloydimus, hit up.
I just checked. So, yeah, you click more. You get the drop down there. You go to the Die Hard drop down, and then you'll see.
Go to allchgo.com.
Die Hard Lounge.
Then go down to Die Hard Lounge.
Yeah, it also should have been emailed to you when you sign up. It should, but yeah, there's an invite link. Boom. Done. We solved problems here at CHGO.
Gary says he's in the Discord. He said he found it.
There you go.
Gary's in the Discord?
No. Look at the last two comments.
Lloydimus is in the Discord.
Gary
found it. Gary is the mayor of our Discord, and I was in there yesterday.
Patrick Norton is technically the mayor of our Discord.
Patrick, speaking of...
Patrick's the man. Patrick came out to Naperville Central last night to support Grace Carman and the Lane Tech champions.
Did they win?
They did not. Shout out to Naperville Central. They were phenomenal, 3-1. So we'll take a runners up and move on.
Name 3 players on Naperville Central.
Oh, how the turntables.
A really good one, the really fast one, and the goalie was sweet too. They were all good. I thought I was watching the Olympic team. But, you know, they get a big win over to Trier. It was a little bit of a letdown. Grace was a little sick, threw up after the game. You know, so we're all right. We're good. No problem. We're moving forward.
Okay. I hope she's feeling better.
The highlight of the whole day was that I was meeting my brother to ride out of the train with him, and I told him what track to get on, and he's telling me that I had the track wrong, and I'm like, you're on the wrong train. And, of course, he was. So
that happens.
Does it? I don't think that happens.
I will say Union Station, if you're coming from the north side, it's a little confusing. I mean, we're good, but if you're there for the first time, it's a little confusing. I could see how you get on the wrong train. All right. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about that. I think we have more work to do. We have more.
Yeah, we got to go shoot this commercial.
Eat lunch maybe too. I don't know. Hey, fun show today.
Lunch was canceled due to lack of hustle. Deal with it.
What just happened?
That's from Heavyweights. It's an all-timer line. Let's move on.
Your all-timers are like a different
Nagy
genre.
You could dominate the Discord. You should get in there. Chim, I don't think you're invited.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow at noon. Frank Duffy's going to join us for a little bit more draft conversation and look ahead to next year too, actually, because I think he has his mock is out today at allchgo.com. That's all we got. We'll be back tomorrow.
Shout out Walmart Business. Let's go.
See you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.